We have a doggy symbol DOGE versus the dollar being requested by Mr. Who is it? Who is it? Mr. Ciano. We're going to do a general overview on this one. A little bit on the laggard schedule right here, but it looks like this one probably does pull through. Again, mostly depends on the general strength and the broad market here. A bit of a short-term range going on, obviously. And if you are looking at the very short-term time frames, actually would be looking at that last wick to the downside right here as the playable continuation towards your more daily area of about 27.5. Now, I would feel comfortable saying that below 27, more like below 27 cent actually on a daily. I would feel free to get bearish on this one all the way down to about 21 to 20.5 cent over here. But for right now, probably does pull through, not necessarily because this chart looks like the picture of health and fitness, but mostly because of the the strength in the broad market with most things making new all-time highs. But it's a very bad sign that this thing is not anywhere near its prior all-time high when the strong ones are. So it's certainly relatively weak, but I would not expect to break down here unless we see a breakdown on others as well. Anyways, with that said, short-term timeframes, I'll be looking for a bit of sideways and up. I don't actually have anything too unique to say about this thing. The only way that I'd really be looking for a continuation on this drive to your 33 to 34 cent highs on this past rally over here would be on essentially just a closure above about 30 cent and well, let's see, more like 30 spot 75 cent or so. Not really too interesting of analysis, unfortunately. I do understand that that's not very helpful, but it's just a lot less of an interesting chart. The easier way to be looking for continuation would be any sort of a tick higher than yesterday's high, and then yes, I would be targeting moves back around more like 34, maybe even 35 cent or so. Where I'd actually get excited about this thing would be, well, never, but sorry. I would start to get excited about this thing above about 34 cent for big moves up towards your breakdown levels and spike highs of June, which are in the mid 40s. But for right now, more of a follower in this market, certainly not a leader. And if Bitcoin shows any weakness, this thing will get hit a lot more hard than the rest of the market, I suspect. But with that said, as long as everything else looks good, this one's probably fine as well. And momentum also does do favor the upside as well. You see daily Stokes will be ranged to the upside as long as above, especially 28 cent. Full hour will be crossing back up with any sort of closure above 30.5 cents. So short term probably does range sideways and down here. Hourly is going to be up as long as above 29 cent or so. And let's look at, we already looked at the daily, what about 5 day? 5 days way up there at 24.5 cent. And weekly will be remaining with upside posture as long as it's above about 17.5 cent as well. So, again, definitely not the most interesting chart that we've seen today, or I should say the most strong chart that we've seen today. I would say it's kind of not, but you can kind of see the areas of action right there. And again, I would get heavily bearish on this thing below about 27 cents, especially on a daily. That would look pretty damn bad. But until that happens, I'd probably be looking for sideways and up, mostly because of the rest of the market here. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go, doggy crew.